All right, Gator. With Gator being back today, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Lions' final 53-man roster and surprises with the practice squad. So the surprises on the 53-man roster were the Strickland kid, the safety making it, was Parker Hess making it over Zylstra and Mitchell, was Hendon Hooker making it over Nate Sudfeld after what was said last week, and then Jake Fromm making the practice squad over Nate Sudfeld. What do you make of the final roster?
I like it because everybody you were kind of disappointed about they didn't make the team. They made the practice squad. Somehow, draft ninja Brad Holmes became roster ninja and Jedi roster Jedi because convinced you don't need any of our players. And I'm totally surprised by that. So I think it's going to be a fluid situation with players that are on the practice squad. They might have an opportunity to make the big squad. Look, there's going to be injuries anyway. So I'm not going to lie though. I'm surprised at some of those moves where the players got in over other players.
How about them having 4 wide receivers on the practice squad? And Brad Holmes said we weren't going to give out a 5th spot just to have a 5th wide receiver. But it feels to me like they're still kind of searching for another wide receiver. When you bring in Allen Robinson, you bring in Tim Patrick, you bring back Donovan Peoples-Jones, and you bring back Tom Kennedy, as one does every year.
I mean, you're supposed to.
Yeah. What do you make of that 4 wide receivers in the practice squad?
I think it's internal competition again. You know, it's we didn't really resolve things with the preseason and training camp, so we need you guys to come out there and show what you can. I mean, those are the practice squad guys are going to be scout team guys. They're going to get reps against some pretty good players, and they're going to have opportunities each and every day to prove themselves. So it's if I were one of those wide receivers, I would take it as such. Hey, all right, you got to go out there and prove it, because I don't think they're married to, the final guys that made the roster.
No, the bottom 3-4 spots on that roster are going to be rotating, and then there's always injuries. You just never know how that's going to play itself out. So
the Jake Fromm thing is interesting.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, and then Kang found a soundbite from Brad Holmes that kind of confirmed it. Brad Holmes talked about how much he liked him out of Georgia. And I'm like, this is a guy he was eyeing to draft. That it's one of those, I finally got my hands on this guy. Like he really wanted to draft him. And when you heard him talk, he was pretty, he had a lot of praise for him. Pretty complimentary of you, if you will, on him coming out of Georgia.
But has your faith been shaken a little bit, Doug and Kang? I mean, this was the guy. We all believe what they have to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Upper hand.
Yeah.
Nate Sudfeld has the upper hand, and yet Nate Sudfeld's not on the roster and not on the practice squad. So was there some hoodwinking going on?
No, this is in reference to something that I have said and Kang has also come on board with, which is I believe absolutely everything that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have said. I've spent my entire professional career being skeptical of everything that came out of the Detroit Lions. And when you heard hype, I'm like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it too. There was always that undercurrent of I'll believe it when I see it. And now I'm like, I just believe it. So last week, yes, Dan Campbell said Nate Sudfeld has the upper hand. A week later, he not only didn't have the upper hand, 2 quarterbacks passed him, and he got straight up released. And so Gator's asking, is our faith rattled, Kang, in Dan Campbell?
Gator, Dan Campbell lied to us.
Oh, boy.
He lied to us, Doug. Just accept it. I'm back on board with Gator. Campbell was talking all this jive, this camp talk, that they all do.
It was just coach speak. That's
coach
all.
speak,
it's
yep.
Okay.
Dude, how do you go from upper hand to you got fired on your day off? They sat him the final preseason game thinking, you're good, bro. Don't worry, you ain't got nothing else to prove. We've seen what you have to offer. Fromm comes in for 4 snaps. All right, well, Sud, things have changed, my friend. I'm sorry, but
not only to get passed over by Hendon Hooker.
I know.
But Fromm?
Okay, let's be clear here. Dan Campbell didn't cut Nate Sudfeld. Brad Holmes cut Nate.
Oh, you saying they fighting?
No, I don't. It's NBD. No big deal. No big deal.
NBD. They share the same brain, Doug.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not on everything.
I think Dan Campbell has a big say in who gets cut.
I think he does have a big say.
No, but I mean, in all honesty, anybody surprised really in the end that Nate Sudfeld isn't here? I mean,
we were surprised he had the upper hand. Cole.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we were surprised about.
That
yeah.
was like upper hand, huh? Okay. Maybe you're seeing some guy I haven't seen. Okay, he's going against tougher competition because he's in the beginning of games as opposed to later on, like when we see Hendon Hooker. Okay, and then he had the last preseason game, and Hendon Hooker, he was okay. He was better, maybe better than okay. He obviously makes plays with his feet and pretty heady player. Really like Hendon Hooker. Did he pass Nate Sudfeld? Apparently so. Nate Sudfeld's the reason he was still even in contention, I feel, is that maybe this coaching staff they like him for a calming influence he might have with Jared Goff, or because he can see plays and what is supposed to happen. The problem with Nate Sudfeld is that he doesn't have the talent to make them happen. You know, it's like the old adage, those who can do, those who can't teach. And some people take that as an insult, and I wouldn't take that as an insult at all.
Right.
What it is, and one of the most important life lessons that you can have is knowing what your limitations are. Like, if you know the playbook, you know what they're supposed to happen, we'll just go out and do it. I physically can't. I'm not fast enough to move to the outside or maneuver through the pocket to buy myself time. I can't do that, but I know that that's the route to do it. Or maybe I just don't have the arm strength to make that play, but that play is there, and I'm telling you, you can do it. I mean, I feel like that's what Nate Sudfeld is. He's like an extra coach, and don't be surprised if you hear that he's added to a coaching staff in years down the line.